Ladies and gentlemen in crypto, I am incredibly pleased to say that it has finally happened. And I understand you might be wondering what exactly has happened. What has a lot of this been leading up to, and what are we exactly excited about? Well, I can tell you straight away, there's so much stupid stuff going on. And even though I'd like to tell you that it's one of the craziest breakouts we've ever seen, and it's happened, we finally reached $1,000 per XRP, or Bitcoin's halving is here, or $1 million has been reached. But no, it's a little bit more along the lines of justice. But there's a few things. Just take a look at this first though, and make sure you press that like button if you haven't done it yet. So for all of you that haven't seen, the SEC came out with an official statement earlier this morning. Quote, "Today, after a 9-day trial, a jury in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York found Terraform Labs, PTE Limited, and Do Kwon liable for defrauding investors in the crypto asset securities." And as you guys all know, this guy, I think, made me lose the most money I've ever lost. So I don't empathize with him whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I think this is actually a very, very nice piece of closure, because ultimately he did something significantly different than the guys at FTX. This is, fraud to the best of degrees. It was a hard fight, but incredibly happy to see the Terra fraud formally proven in the court of law. And it's time for jail for Do Kwon and some other guys and everyone involved with the Terra scam, as well as clawbacks and restitution for victims. And that is where I wonder what exactly is going to happen. Billions stolen, thousands of lives ruined, we will not forget. But that's not everything else that's going on. I mean, there's a ton of announcements like this. For example, oh, it's finally happened. A dormant address containing 1,700 Bitcoins, so 115 million doubloons, has just been activated after 10 plus years, which was which was worth $1 million back in 2014. And there's a powerful story to that. This person was able to not touch all of these Bitcoin, right? $1 million at the time, for 10 years, and it resulted in now having $115 million. Now, to many, $1 million can be life-changing, I understand. But 115 mil is a whole lot. I don't know, maybe you didn't realize it, but 115 million is a lot of money. My steak has been delivered. And it breeds a nice little story of, if you're just patient enough, look at the gains you can make, huh? But on the opposite end, if he cashed it a few years earlier, was able to cash out 30 mil, for example, a lot of people still would not have complained. And the opposite side is, these 10 years are still a lot of time. But on the opposite end, you see the patience, how much it's being rewarded? A lot of you guys need to learn from this, because most people can't leave their coins untouched for like 30 days. And on the same narrative, Korea to approve Bitcoin ETFs if pro-Bitcoin opposition wins the election in a couple of days. We're going to allow the ETFs, domestic or overseas. More than 6 million South Koreans, over 10% of the population, owns Bitcoin or crypto. And that can be pretty crazy. But ultimately, I'm not so sure what the chances are of a victory here, as it says is the opposition. I'll add another thing that has finally happened though. So for anybody that's not on Twitter, I'm gonna show you something that's been so extremely trending over the past couple of days. And I think it's single-handedly put a dent in with one of the biggest meme coins out there in the crypto space, because of just how, just take a look. Maybe you were already up to speed though, but this video from NFT New York City is going absolutely viral because of the WIF with the meme coin and Pandora party. And Ding Ding says, market top is in. Back her up, boys. See you again next year. And that's because it was an interesting performance. So laughs and giggles aside, one thing that became quite apparent to me is indeed when you start seeing people really geeking up on stage doing really, really crazy crypto things, that's when you got to start packing it up a little. And it made me realize a lot of you guys, for you, this is your first run, right? And I'll tell you one thing, this is not going to last forever. The whole meme coin debacle, at some point as well, it's going to stop, and many people will lose a lot of money. Right now, it might feel like this will last forever, or that it's just starting, right? But understand that we said, hey, make sure you prepare, make sure you get ready. for as long as I can remember now. But let's just say 6 months ago, for example, we said, hey, if you want to be early, start now. That phase of being early, of being, or having the time to prepare for the crazy gains, it's kind of over. Now, put a big break there by saying, I still think that this run is going to last another year or so. But many of my VC friends have stated that it's very wise to start cashing out, for example, 1% a day. And that is not 100 to 0 in 100 days. It just means 1% of your remaining balance every single day. So you can, theoretically speaking, never finish. Starting January 1st, 2025, to just mitigate risks. Because ultimately, a bull run lasts what? A year and a half, 2 years or so. If we base it on previous cycles, the top could be at the start of 2025 somewhere. Perhaps it's in the middle of it, but obviously almost nobody's gonna catch it perfectly. My point being, however, that what we're seeing right now in terms of these parties and shit, it really isn't much, but it's starting to get to my head again that I have to start worrying about eventually people getting so comfortable that they think it's never going to end. We're not there yet. I'm just warning you guys because it is eventually going to happen. And when I was in, I think Miami last year, I remember all the Pepe parties, and it made me also realize like what in the world is going on. I'll add that right now what we've seen is nothing. In some months, like the parties you're gonna be seeing, the budgets that these projects are gonna be having are gonna be so wild. But I'm starting to see these bull market type of narratives where there are a couple of creators, especially over on X, that are getting so much power right now that the pumps and dumps, kind of akin to the BitBoy era, are starting to happen again. And that's where, that's why it's so confusing, because we're pretty early into this whole debacle. If we look at the halving, we're very, very early. But if you look at the enthusiasm, it's pretty high. Then again, the major altcoins have not gone for crazy rallies yet, which usually happen before this crazy enthusiasm comes. But I guess it's because meme coins this time around are so much more powerful than in previous times, as obviously the gains that people have been making from those are just absolutely wild, which is why I want to put more emphasis on it here as well, because obviously it's a very risky game. You can be down 20% tomorrow in the click of a finger. If you play the game right, it is pretty hard to lose because it's all based on sentiment. It's not based on technology at all. It's all based on people's emotions, which makes it a lot easier to trade. But for the most part, it makes it more predictable. You understand that if the narrative for Bitcoin is bullish and the community is on it, that these things will do well. If, for example, Base is all of a sudden getting a ton of attention, you got to focus on Base coins. If cats are really, really hot on Twitter, you focus on cat coins. If you just kind of keep that up, it's, in my opinion, pretty hard to fail. And so I'm going to do more of them. Like, I already invest in quite a lot of memes, right? Don't get me twisted. But I still think I can go harder on it a little bit because it's just that inner fear. Many people skip it for that reason. But the way I go about my crypto investing is just I go whatever's hottest. If it's AI or if you predict it's going to go hot in the next few weeks, we go for it. If it's real world assets, which I'm still investing into heavily, I go for it. And right now with this dip in memes because of that crazy conference, I'm thinking perhaps there's another massive rally coming as now things are consolidating a little bit. We're kind of having that little fallback where people are like, is this really going to last? And usually the next kicker after that can be the big one. Anyway, there's more news. There's more cool things going on. I mean, crypto is filled right now. $930 billion asset manager DWS launches physical Bitcoin ETCs in Germany. I mean, they're picking up the pace, obviously. I mean, they're kind of doing it everywhere, though. The SEC to eventually approve a Ethereum spot ETF, says JP Morgan. Once more, we all know the future for crypto is very, very bright. It's all about the intermediary. It's all about the middle. Because also, Goldman Sachs, Citadel, Citigroup, and UBS have been added as authorized participants for the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETFs. And on top of that, the cherry on the cake.
Our view is basically that the massive daily outflows from GBTC are likely to slow, but they're unlikely to see any amount of inflows. So yesterday we saw 75 million out of GBTC. I think the numbers will be more similar to that going forward, that $100 million range, likely less, potentially a little more. But if we're going to see daily outflows, they shouldn't be the $300, $500 million numbers we saw that were due to those bankruptcy estates selling their shares.
Now, he clarified later that it's not exactly always going to be below 100 mil, but I don't know about always staying below 100 mil, but I think the massive recurring consecutive outflow days of 300 to 600 million out of the Bitcoin ETF, specifically from Grayscale, are likely behind us. And I think days of 200 million for GBTC are going to be far more scarce going forward. And you got to understand, it was 1 versus 9 anyway. But as the only negative factors minus decreases, that means more coming in, right? And ultimately, the institutions They play a major role in this game. But anyway, a lot has finally happened. A lot is coming along. I'm extremely bullish, extremely excited for what the near future has to bring. If you're still looking for a crypto exchange, we've got a couple of links down below to exchanges I personally use. And if you guys are interested in memes and cool launches, cool new things, make sure you join the Telegram. I'm still a little bit afraid as to what I should share in there, because at the end of the day, these things are a little bit riskier. But on the opposite side, I'm thinking, well, if I'm putting my money there, people might as well know about it, knowing fully well that I can lose everything. But hey, that's the game as well. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this little crypto update. A lot of cool things going on. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video, hopefully later today. I think I'm going to talk about which upcoming launches I'm really interested in. And after that, potentially later today, potentially tomorrow, I'll also make a video about how to get into these early launches, because still a lot of people don't seem to know that.